Yeah, what's up, everybody? It's MK420. Welcome back. Uh, Not really sure what this video is gonna be, kind of like a small update thing. But I also wanted to just talk about it being the 33 anniversary of the original MK, some of my memories of that game from being a kid. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Just real quick, so everybody that knows me has known that I've been putting a lot of 420, the reference. I do it a lot. Um, I do want to try and grow publicly, like image wise, so I'm probably going to clean up the just like the way I talk and maybe some of the things I do in the videos, try to keep it a little more I guess more couldn't like not really like dialed down, but more of like appropriate, I guess. But when it comes to the live streams, that's going to be where there's no rules. Everything goes. You've been warned. Like, balls to the wall, anything can happen and will happen. But when it comes to the videos, I do want to try and make the channel a more, you know, a more accessible place for a younger audience, maybe that are getting into MK for the first time. So I kind of want to start, like, doing more like con- constructive criticism. I guess I'm not really sure how to describe it. Basically, I just want to clean it up a little bit, but that's just my little like PSA announcement. So, um, the main reason why y'all are here is because today is the 33-year anniversary of the original MK92 for arcade. Now, I wasn't born yet when this game came out. I was born about 8 years later. So I was born in the summer of 2000. This game came out about 8 years before I was born. But one of my first memories of this game, I remember I was about 7 years old, and I had went to a Mega Play, which is basically like kind of like a Dave and Buster's, an arcade. It's like an old school arcade. There's like a restaurant. Not really sure if they have them anymore. I would have to ask some family members of mine, but I went there as a kid, and I remember seeing at the time it was Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, and 4 arcade cabinets all in a row. And first one I ever played, I believe, was MK4, but I really didn't appreciate those games when I was little, around the age of 6, 7, 8 years old. I didn't understand any of the lore, I didn't understand any of the button inputs. All I saw was, oh, there's a guy that shoots ice. Oh, there's a guy with a cool rope. Oh, there's a guy that can turn into other guys. That's cool, you know. But then as I got older, I'd say about maybe 12, 13, I had a friend of mine who had UMK3. It was like yeah, it was like a DS port of UMK3, and that's how I got that game. And then just a few years after that, I was able to go back and play the arcade collection for 360, and that's where I started to really have appreciation for the 92 MK1, the original. So I had seen it when I was a kid. I played it. It didn't mean nothing to me back then. But as I got older and I went back and I played these games and I discovered the lore and I read up on it, it started to mean more to me. And I guess that's why I created my channel in the first place, is because I have a passion for this franchise, and I'm glad to see where it's come. It's had its ups, it's had its downs, yes, but then again, so does every fighting game out there, No game is perfect. And with that being said, there's going to be some people that have played for the last 33 years, and some people are going to love certain games over others. Some people are going to love certain characters over others, and that's okay. That's what makes everybody's experience with this franchise unique, in my opinion. I mean, one of my favorite characters when I first started playing Mortal Kombat, I kid you not, was actually Reptile. Reptile was in my top three. It was Reptile, Onaga, and I think Goro were like my three favorite characters for the longest time. And that's before I knew about Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, Ray, all the poster children, I guess you could call them. The main favorites, if you will. So, I mean, it's just this game, this franchise has gotten me through depression. It's gotten me through um, 9 straight years of mental abuse. It's gotten me through some of the happiest times of my life. It has gotten me through some of the darkest times of my life. And for the past 33 years, I feel like a lot of Mortal Kombat fans, regardless if you're an OG fan from the arcade days, if you're a 3D era fan like me that grew up in the 2000s, you heard of the 90s games, you've seen friends play them, older kids play them, but you never played them, you would end up growing up with the 3D era games, the NetherRealm era, MK9, X, 11, the Injustice games, MK, M1K as people call it. You know, it didn't matter what era you grew up in, man. Mortal Kombat, like I said, it's unique to everybody, like I said, I remember the first time I ever played it when I was a little kid. Not when I got into it, like, seriously, but like when I first played it, literally my only memory of it was, oh, Yellow Ninja versus Blue Ninja. I like this game. I want to play as the yellow one because he says funny words. And he throws a rope and says funny words with a cool voice. And my little 6, 7 year old brain didn't know that that was Scorpion and that he was a ghost basically, like a hell specter, and that he, had a clan at one point. Like I didn't know none of that until years later. And uh, like my fiance right now, it's just it's interesting in her period of being a Mortal Kombat fan because she's just now getting into the series. We've been together for this Sunday's our 3 year anniversary actually, but the last 3 years I've been trying to get her into the franchise and she's excited for this Legacy collection because I'll be able to show her all these old school Mortal Kombat games and for me for example, I only played the original Mortal Kombat maybe 3 times in my entire life. Once when I was a little kid in that Mega Play, maybe once or twice on the 360 when I was a young preteen, and then maybe like one more time in my mid-teens. And that was probably it. But for my fiance, for example, she's just now getting into this series. She's really big into the NetherRealm era, MK. She really likes M1K, and I know that's a very controversial take, but that's the most modern game. And it's going to be kind of cool for couples, boyfriends, girlfriends, families, generations, fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, because believe it or not, yes, there are women that love Mortal Kombat. Oh my god, it's a shocker. But it's true, and it's awesome, man, because it doesn't matter where you come from, who you are. The fact that we all love this game for what it is awesome. And it brings everybody together, and everybody's got a unique story. Like, I'm gonna tell you guys a quick story. The first time I ever played Mortal Kombat Armageddon. I know that doesn't have to do with anything with the original game, but this is just a quick little side story, I guess you could call it. First time I ever played Mortal Kombat Armageddon. The thing that hooked me, like from the jump, was the character select screen music. If you know that music, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the next thing that hooked me, the very first fight I played, I remember I was playing as Scorpion. Of course, he was my main. Why not? And I remember was fighting Liu Kang, and I don't remember what stage it was on. It was on the stage where I believe if you knock them off the ledge, they would just like fall forever. It was just like an endless void. and they would just slowly scream, and their scream would die off in the distance. And I remember Liu Kang, the AI, he like bicycle kicked me, and I just remember my heart sinking watching that, and my brain at the time being like, what if that was real, and what if that could really happen? That's terrifying. Like, just little stories like that, make me love this franchise. So, this isn't really a video for me to vent, I guess. I guess it's more of just like a thank you. Thank you to Ed Boon and John Tobias for the last 33 years of memories. Thank you for all the great games. Thank you for everything. Thank you to the YouTubers that are way bigger than me, way bigger than me. But thank you to them for inspiring people like me to start channels of our own. Regardless if we're digit channels, single digits, triple digits, regardless if we're, getting noticed or not, just thank you to just everybody who loves MK, because without all of us, I don't think the passion for these games would still be there after all these years. Look at the Street Fighter and Tekken communities. Their fans are still around to this day because their fans are so passionate. And it doesn't matter what franchise you support fighting game wise, if you love that franchise, stick by that. It's okay to have different opinions, but if you love something, stick by it, and hopefully what you love brings you good memories. And that for me is Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 92, the arcade. Like I said, I've only got to play that version a handful of times in my life. But every memory of that, the few that I've talked about here, I look back on those and it makes me smile because I know 3 weeks from today I'll get to play all those memories again in my head. I'll get to stream it. I get to play all those old games. And then on top of that, it's going to make new fans. Younger people are going to understand why the OGs had so much, still have so much love for these classic games. And that's a beautiful thing. And thank you, NetherRealm. Thank you, WB. As much crap as WB gets, I think we as MK fans, we should say thank you. And I know that might be a little controversial to say, but they didn't have to throw this legacy collection together for us. They did this because they understood that we were passionate, we missed the old games, and that they realized, hey, if we really re-release these old games for a modern audience, we can make new fans, and the older OGs can come back, show this younger generation how to really play a fighting game, and help them make new memories and new fans and new stories to tell and new, laughters and frustrations, and new YouTubers can be inspired. New little kids that, new little kids like me at one point that was 14, 15 years old watching the Mortal Kombat X reveal trailer thinking I want to be somebody who uploads videos playing this game one day. And for the first 6 months, not or being afraid to do it because I was so scared that I would suck at it. I made my channel when I was 18 years old. I didn't upload my first video, I don't think, until I was about 21 or 22. I had the channel for years. I just never knew what to upload to it because I wasn't confident. And then I thought about it. I love Mortal Kombat. I'm gonna focus on that. Like I said, if you're somebody, hopefully whatever fighting game franchise you love inspires you to make something with it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be fighting games. But in this instance, it is, because I'm talking about, MK. Now, I could talk about Tekken and Street Fighter, but I don't know much about those franchises, so I'm not going to dip my toe into that because I don't want to say the wrong thing and make a lot of those fans unhappy. I do not want to do that. So I'll just stick to the franchise I know, and that for me is MK. You know, I mean, yes, do the modern MK games make me personally sometimes have good memories? Yeah, Of course. I can think back countless hours as a teenager, 2019, early 2020, 2021 even, grinding towers of time in MK11. Just all the good memories. I can think of hundreds of stories just of me smashing controllers because of how frustrating the game would be, or how broken I thought people online were, or just how horrible I was. And over the years, I've made friends playing online because of this franchise and these newer games. And now that these older games are coming out, it's going to be those same memories all over again. Like I feel like this is the closing of a chapter, but the beginning of a new chapter for a lot of us Mortal Kombat fans, especially some of us more modern fans like myself, kids that grew up in the 2000s like myself, and kids that like me that grew up in the 2010s, like 2010 to 2020 era. I don't know what you would call that, the 20 teens, I guess. I don't know. But you get what I'm saying, right? And all of us fans, all of us modern fans are going to get to understand why the OGs love the classics. And like I said, there's going to be a lot more fans, a lot more memories, a lot more unique stories being told. And hopefully, 33 years down the line from now, it still goes. And that's just not with this franchise, but every fighting game franchise. If I had it my way personally, every fighting game franchise ever, you know? So, if you're someone and you're a fan of a fighting game, don't let that stop you from making videos, regardless if you're good, you're bad, you have a small subscriber count, even if you only have 5 videos and only 2 subscribers. Keep going. You'll get there. You know? Look at me, for example. I have 72. That's a beautiful number. A year and a half ago, I only had 6. I'm grateful for where I am, and I'm grateful for what this franchise has done for me. All the good memories, the bad memories. Just, if I could shorten this video up into one sentence, it would be this. Thank you, Mortal Kombat. Thank you for everything you've ever done. Here's to 33 years. For those of you who are of age and do partake in the usage, actually, might not be doing that. Why, you may ask? Well, it's missing. I gotta find it. I gotta find my pen. So 1 second as we look for that. And if we can't find it, then we'll just go ahead and wrap up the video with a few more talking points that I want to make. But if I could just sum this up into one giant little thing, if I could wrap it up real fast, I just want to say, thank you, NetherRealm Studios, WB, John Tobias, Ed Boon, Mike Boone, Dan Forden, Carlos Pacina, Dan Pacina, Carrie Ann Hoskins, so many others that I can't think of right now, but just thank you to everyone who has made Mortal Kombat what it is the last 33 years, and hopefully we can keep going with the memories, and the good times, and happy birthday. So here's to 33 years. It's been amazing this far. Thank you for everything you've done, and hopefully there's more to come down the road. And until next time, everybody, I've been MK420, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Happy birthday, Mortal Kombat.